Hello and welcome to our show, Film Talk with AJ Dean. I'm AJ Dean, your host, and I have the incredible co-host with me, Paul Vato from Las Vegas, Nevada. Hey, Paul, how are you?
I'm doing well, AJ. Thank you so much for having me. This is wonderful.
It's such a wonderful evening, and I've been so looking forward to this. Let's give a very warm welcome to actor, producer, and stunt coordinator, Francis Mabborang. Hey, Francis, how are you?
Doing well. Thank you so much for having me. This has been planned for a long time, right? Earlier this year.
Yes, and so we're so proud of you. You're really up to so many things. What is new, Francis? Tell us what you've been working on.
Right now I am on season for my recurring gig. Actually, it was my first acting gig, which is the New York Renaissance Fair. So that was my first acting gig. I was in my last semester at the American when I was still in the conservatory at the American Musical and Dramatic Academy. And that was in 2019. And then of course, and I've been actively working since then. The pandemic happened. We weren't able to resume the season because of the pandemic. But we resumed last year, 2021. And then this year, I'm back again on the same show when I came back. Because in 2019, I was in the Pirates Privateers crew of the New York Renaissance Fair. And the 2021, I was in this stage show called The Four Swords. So we're four different swordsmen playing four people, playing four different swordsmen coming from different parts of the world, showcasing different fighting styles with swords. So that's how I got into stage combat and fight and stunt, right? Because I also have a background in martial arts, which is for the longest time I've been training in taekwondo when I was young and I was in the varsity team. And I've been actively competing in the tournament back in the Philippines. So that's my life back then. And then I got into theater when I got into high school. And when I got into college back in the Philippines, about 2011, as soon as I graduated high school, the only way for me to go to the college or university that I really wanted to go to is because my parents wanted me to go to a different school, but I did not make it. So the only condition that they wanted me to do is to stop all extracurricular activities because that's how I thrive when I was in grade school and high school, sports and theater and dance and music. But everything stopped there. And then when I moved to America 4 years ago for me to pursue um, acting, singing, it took me a while actually to go back to acting because I left that in 2011. 2014, I graduated college. But then a year later, that's where I started auditioning uh, for a talent convention called the International Presentation of Performers in LA. I was already planning my master's in international business at that time at the Halt International Business School in San Francisco. But this opportunity came in. So I just went in on the audition blindly. They just gave us like a template of commercials that we can bring. But as soon as I got into the audition, I'm seeing people who have prepared song numbers, dance numbers dressed to the nines, and I'm just wearing t-shirt and jeans. So for me, while I'm in the line waiting for me to audition, I was already looking for any upbeat song that I can dance to or any song that I can sing. I don't care if I can sing it in a cappella. And surprisingly, like they gave me a call back for to return the next day because there's like thousands of people auditioning today, and there's only like that's a one time thing. And when I found out that I want to do that, of course I want to come back much more prepared and all that. But that same night, we also received the acceptance letter for the international business school. So my dad said you only have to choose one. Right now is like choose one, LA or masters. So I said to him, when I was deciding, let's see how the callback is gonna go because who knows, right? It's just a callback. I may get in, I may not get in. This is not even planned at all. So when that happened, as soon as we got into the callback, I was about to slate at that time. I don't even know what slate it was. I was just introducing myself, and then I told them singing the song. Blah blah. I prepared the song, and that they said no, we do not want to hear you. We've seen enough. The reason why we're gonna call you back because we really like you. And there's like out of thousands of people, they only gave 100 people a call back, but they already marking like the top 30, 50 people that they really want to bring to Los Angeles. And I was one of those. So for me, it was a total shock. And it's a no-brainer for me at that time. At 21 years old, I decided it's like, that I can study anytime. I'm not gonna go for a master's. I'm gonna go for LA. So for the next 4 months, I went to was preparing myself in LA. And since then I keep on coming back and forth to the US for me to explore my opportunities in dancing, singing, and the performing arts because I left all of that when I went to college, right? That was my biggest sacrifice. And I knew I've been passionate about theater and all that until I moved to America 4 years ago. And I said, you know what? I've been coming in and out of the US. So why not just take the plunge if I'm going to study again? Because they've been bugging me to study again. I'm going to study where I really wanted to, on the field that I really wanted to. So I went to the conservatory program for musical theater. And that's that. And it's a full circle now that the show that I also started having a career with as an actor, the Renaissance Fair. I'm back on the third year in a row, third season in a row, with the same character as Amorong Adil, a pre-colonial Filipino who ended up in Sir Francis Drake's ship. Uh, and this is interesting because about that time, I'm playing it as if the Spaniards are about or have arrived and they're already in the process of colonizing the Philippines and renaming the country to after King Philip II. That's why it's Philippines. So it's quite a thing. And then I've been back on the four swords again. Now this time they're five because one of us are swinging, and it's a really much more diverse situation right now because I've since then I said my first acting gig is I'm playing my own heritage, right? That's for theater, which is the Renaissance Fair. And you don't have the poster for this one, but it's in my IMDb. My first film acting is also I played a Filipino, which is Marcos and Exodus, which is also created by one of our friends who was on Clubhouse briefly, Alfred Costello.
Wow.
Yeah, he did that during the pandemic, at the height of the pandemic. And it was so funny because we were filming prior to Thanksgiving or between Thanksgiving and Christmas. And he was able to release it, and a couple months later that film won a couple awards.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Congratulations. And, you know, it was so important to be a part of something during COVID, and you've been really productive all the way through, Francis. And we're so proud of you. Isn't that right, Paul?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's tough enough to go through COVID, but then to actually be able to produce something and get through it, that speaks a lot. So that's amazing. Congratulations. It's not easy.
It is not easy because everyone was trying to figure out how are they gonna go back then. And we did that film on Zoom. So what Alfred's did was it was like a cast of 15 people, right? Um he had a session with each and every one of us on a Zoom call, try to deliver the scenes and lines and rearrange the entire like literally the film is made through Zoom.
Wow, Francis.
And it's interesting to see also the rough draft of it because he was trying to figure some stuff out. And it's the first time we all did it. And because things are shut down, we were just hungry to do some stuff, right? And that's
Yeah,
how a lot of us have navigated towards Clubhouse like last year.
right.
And it's funny as well because even at the height of the pandemic, when things are starting to like open up after the riots of the Black Lives Matter movement, things are, you know, the happening I am just one of those lucky ones who was able to continue and figure out and navigate our industry digitally. Because I was an active performer in theater, and that's my main thing. And then I ended up working because people need to find jobs sooner or later. Like the first 3 months, like everyone's like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna rely on my old jobs like stipends," and then it starts
Oh my
depleting
God,
on
like
due. And I found this job through a Facebook group. Actually, they're looking for hosts for this online e-commerce kind of thing. So and then on a stingy place in Union City, New Jersey. And I was like, you know what? Sure. I mean, we're all hungry to do something. At least something is happening. This is just temporarily, and plus I need to pay rent and all that. I will take whatever I get. It's I went to the where old warehouse turned studio, which is still up and running, which is surprisingly. Uh, and then a couple of weeks, I got hired not just a host, but also as an officer. I'm the first person as first staff that startup production got company hired, and then a couple weeks later, I was introduced as the creative director and helped build the company since then. And I've been actively working there doing online content and hosting like QVC on Amazon. It's Amazon Live.
Amazing.
And yeah, and it's interesting to see having that shift around me. It's like, oh, I have an upper hand here, but I also felt for my fellows, majority of my fellows in the industry who are not able to, who's struggling to find uh to navigate the industry at the height of the pandemic when it's so uncertain. No one knows how are they gonna, still, if they're still gonna be in the industry. A lot of them tried to be influencers. A lot of them got their real estate licenses for some odd reason. And it's an interesting position to be in. And then a few months later, Clubhouse was a thing, right? And
Yes, that's
then
where we met.
that's where all of us met, and that's where I also met Leo, who was a producing partner for American Sangre,
Yes, and
and
that's on the screen right here. That's these two great posters we have. One of them is American Sangre, and the other one is Chase. Let's talk about that. American Sangre, and you and I worked together on that. So honored to be a part of Leo's production. And take it away, Francis.
oh yeah, it's funny before we go to there, like me and Leo's really for because our common denominator here is Clubhouse. It was so weird. It was a weird first 4 or 5 months of 2021, wherein because everyone's trying to navigate the industry. We ended up in this platform and this audio platform. We're just trying to reconnect with people, and we already have the buzz that things are starting to open up, but we're still figuring out how things are. And then there's a big presence of industry people, mix of actors, casting directors, agents, managers, and all of that on the platform that we all ended up finding our own tribes, finding our own groups, right? And networking with everyone. And that's how I got signed with Leo's
Incredible.
husband, with Pat Arcos.
Arcos Management, right? It represents you right now. Isn't that wonderful? It's so great.
It's great. And I've been with her for more than a year now. And it's funny because of every industry professional I've met on Clubhouse, she's the only person that I submitted to.
Oh my gosh, it's meant to be, isn't it?
It's not that it's meant to be. I discerned it. You know what I mean? Because like, this is what I keep on telling about a lot of actors. So for their others, actors are looking for who are listening and are also looking for reps, agents, and managers. This is what I always say. There's a lot of representation out there. You just have to find one that you will be having a good relationship with. They are not there to do the job for you. They are there to help you. So at the end of the day, you're the person doing the job. You're the one maintaining the relationship, and you have to find the people that you will be able to continuously work with and have a good relations with.
Yes.
For me, in my journey with Arcos Management, I was in Clubhouse mid January. I met Kat and everyone immediately. I did not submit to Kat, send my headshot and resume to Kat until February. And then she went to LA with her husband, and then they're starting to like set up their starting to be a bi-coastal management company. And then everyone was just hanging out, and because Clubhouse, right? Like we end up until 6, 7 a.m. the next day. it was a it was a time. And then while they were there, I was FaceTiming Leo because hey, I'm everyone's meeting up there, and like I hate that I'm in New York and I wish I could have joined you guys. Like I want to meet everyone too. And then Kat took the phone because they were all doing such. Francis, I'm seeing a lot of breakdowns. We need to get you signed. And seeing breakdowns reminding me of you, and we need to get you signed. And I told her, Kat, I've sent you my material since February. The ball is on your court. And she said, all right, once I go back to New York, we'll meet. So we
Wow.
had a Zoom. Yeah, the 15-minute consultations ended up being us talking and hanging out for just at least an hour and a half.
Incredible. And it just clicked, didn't it? It was just perfect.
It did, but I did not get signed there. It took me another month at least since that Zoom call before I got signed because she thought she sent the contract, but she has not. And she asked me for a self tape, just to see how I self tape. And it just so happens that one of her former clients is also my one of my hosts for Amazon Live, who works for me, needed to rework his self tape. And because we're working in the studio, we have the space, I can help him, but I have to do background work on something else that day. So I stayed the entire night helping him do his audition. And it's funny because she said, Francis, send me the contract, we need to get you signed. And I told her, Kat, check, I have not received any contract. So send me the contract now, and then I'll send it back to you the next morning. So that's what happened. Like literally the next morning, she sent me that contract, and then the next morning I sent it back to her. All right, we're officially on board.
Yeah, there
And
you
that's
go.
how, yeah, that's how it was. And it was a funny, and it was a quite a very wholesome relationship with Kat as well. And she's been submitting me with a lot of TV, a lot of film, because theater is my world. I have much more resources than her. And she did one of the first projects she actually submitted, since we're talking about film. As soon as she signed me, one of the first three projects that she gave to me, she submitted that we got an audition for, is one is Joko's Easter Sunday film. We've been trying to get that audition for a long, long time,
All right.
but the production already started when she signed me. But we were still able to get an audition. We've been coming after that one for a while. And then two was I think this is a film with Jared Butler, an MGM film, the first audition that with official audition with Cat, self tape request, with MGM immediately date with
Woo.
Jared, and I'll be co lead with Jared Butler,
Oh, wow.
which is just like, Cat, what is this audition that we're getting? Like, what the hell? No pressure. And I was able to showcase my Filipino because they're looking for Muslim Filipino who can speak another language and showcase that.
Good.
So which is great, but that it's funny because my reader on that time is also Alfred's who who made Exodus, right?
Oh, wow. So,
He was my reader, and then a week later he got the same audition.
oh my goodness.
And then a couple months later, when I went to Orlando for a project, I don't know if you guys know Sean Perez. He's in the talent managers for actors. He's also in club. He was also on Clubhouse. He's also a talent manager. He also got that same audition, and it's because he's Filipino, right?
Awesome.
And this is what I also tell it, like keep on telling people, don't get discouraged with the people that um you're auditioning with the same people like your friends. You're going against your friends, especially for very specific uh roles, like especially if you're ethnic, if you're speaking a specific language, or if you're certain demographic. It will be like there will become a time that you will be um
In demand.
Not only in demand, yet you will be all auditioning in the same role because
Yeah.
let's be real, at this time for us per people of color there are a lot of materials coming out, but because it's still a handful, we're all going to be coming against one another. And it happened a couple of times to me as well in TV, where in my first regular series self-tape request that I got from Kat, and I'm allowed to say this now because the show has already on it, is NTIS Hawaii.
Ooh, nice.
It's funny because I got a self-tape for Alex. We got a thing for Alex, and I got a friend of mine, Ian Talan, booked the job.
Oh, he did.
Yeah,
Oh.
we have not heard anything from the self tape that I did, but he booked the job. But here's the thing, people would say, "Oh, I'm so sorry." No,
Hmm.
no. Why are you sorry for me? Because they're looking for Filipinos, and like I said, if you're looking for Filipinos, there's gonna be hundreds and thousands of Filipinos gonna audition for the same part. Especially if you're looking, my money maker is I'm 20 something. I'm almost 30, but I keep on getting called on teenage roles.
You are so popular now, Francis, and you'll be getting more callbacks to come
I
back.
doubt I'm getting popular.
You are, you really are. And I want to talk about, I've seen you in your outfit, the whole armor with the martial arts on Facebook. You are fabulous. You really fit the part. You're very authentic, and I love you take it seriously. You don't play around, and I love that about you as a serious actor. And in Chase, you played a gang member. Is that right?
Yeah, which is very out of the norm compared to what I'm always getting called for.
Yep.
And what I'm really excited for, and that's what excited me about because I get to flex my martial arts and my stage combat in different medium,
How was that?
right?
Was that fun? Because that was a bit of a stretch for you. So was that fun?
It's fun. It is fun, and it is a bit of a stretch because it's a pilot, so the environment is pretty very different. Uh, the medium is very different. So, because in stage combat, we're working with illusions, either in 2D or in the proscenium or in the round, right? The way film and TV or on camera, let's say, just on in general, uh, action works is that you are choreographing for the camera. You are not choreographing for a proscenium. You know what I mean? You're not choreographing for a theater in the round. Because the thing about that one, the number, uh, they released a trailer. I think it wasn't on their Instagram, and then you're gonna see me in a few sequences there. Because what's funny is how, and it's I don't have much on camera experience back then. So seeing how that works, I was like, oh, interesting.
Yeah.
And working with different spy choreographers that I have not known because they specialize on the spy choreographers that I have worked with are certified instructors at SAFD. So these are more primarily on theater. But for film and TV, who does a lot of actions and stunts, is another level.
Yes, it is,
So for
isn't it?
me, having that gauge is like, oh, okay, it kept me on my toes a
I
lot.
bet it did. I bet it did. Isn't that right, Paul? You've had professional stunt people on set working with you, Paul, as well, right? So it's a whole different ball game, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it certainly is. And I mean, as actors, uh, stunt people make us look good, because it's like, oh my god, how could you have done that? You're like, well, it wasn't me. It was my stunt double. Uh, so I think on-screen actors owe a lot to the stunt community for all that they do and make us look good.
Exactly. You know what? If it weren't for Chase, because I already put it in my resume immediately. Kat got me around this time last year another two big TV editions.
Wow.
One of that is actually a friend of mine booked the job.
Oh, really?
Second time in a row. Yeah. It's if you guys are familiar with Kung Fu, the series on CW, I auditioned for Sebastian, and a friend of mine, JB Tadena, booked the role.
Oh, cool.
And it's funny, and the thing about, and I've watched the series, okay, and I've been a fan of the series. And what I love about the series, especially it's Asian led, there's only a token white person in there, which is a total reverse than the norm. What I love there is especially as someone who has been trained in martial arts, I love how they did not glorify violence. I love
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
they turned around a number of the connotations and the stigma and the usual tropes on how martial arts are introduced in film and TV. Because if you guys are not aware, the only reason these action flicks became a thing is because of the height and popularity of Jet Li, Bruce Lee, and right, and
Absolutely.
because they are big Hong Kong filmmakers in Hong Kong, and I would argue that Hong Kong is the biggest um is the film capital of Asia, and a lot of action films that we all know and love has been produced and has been done in Hong Kong. And Hong Kong film that we all know has a very specific style, particularly in filming action fights. That's and then because of their popularity, Hollywood flew in Jet Li and Bruce Lee, and that's how martial arts has been romanticized and been overly glorified and used into violence, and the tropes came in. And for me, it's sad. It's sad because that's like, as someone who's been practicing martial arts for the longest time, and I've been continuously working my way through it and trying to translate it into my art form as an actor. It also saddens me, and that's why for me, I would say I have a love hate relationship with Cobra Kai because the original resource material is already problematic, and then and how it still continues to be problematic, but I love the stories. Remove the problematic thing, the story, the show is well written, which
Yes.
is so good. And that's the only concern for me as a martial artist and as an Asian. And Cobra Kai only has one Asian.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
I'm 2% Chinese dye. Did you know that?
Oh, I didn't know that.
I
Cool.
just,
Chinese diets of back up there in the mountains in the provinces of yeah, China. Great. Great.
yeah, so I just wanted to get that in and let you know that we're connected. We're all
Hey,
connected,
I
okay?
have a Philippine flag here. See.
Hey, I love that. I was going to ask you about that, Francis. What a beautiful flag it is. And I also wanted to say you were producer for American Sangre, Leo Severino's feature film, and we have that on the screen as well. This is incredible. This was such an amazing film. Leo brought everyone together. Hi, Leo. We want to give a shout out to you. Hi, Leo. We love you. Thank you, Leo, for including us. I was a part of it as well. I was assistant writer. And Francis, take it away. Tell us about this. Wasn't it fabulous?
Okay. I let me tell you how I got roped into this project. I was not intending to be part of it in the beginning because I was just in LA January for a project, and February. I was like in the middle of like moving out of my old apartment in Astoria to stay up in my cousin in Queens. I now live in the Bronx, so at that time I was like, okay, sure, I was just in LA. I'm not sure if I have the time because my seasonal job just came back again here in the city. So let me figure out what I'm gonna do. And then Clubhouse room keeps on popping again. Uh and it's funny, I think it's the first film that we got out of Clubhouse, arguably, right?
Yes.
So that's what's interesting about it is that okay, and because I've worked with Leo, I've worked with Kat, I've worked with and I've been really good friends with the people who were involved initially, like Jocelyn and Desiree. Um, okay, let me see what I can do. Let me support how much I can. Because to be honest, at that back then when I was a creative director, top rated, when the first time I met Leo actually when one of my hosts called out last minute, Leo drove from his place to our studio in Union City and did a show for us for me. So
Wow.
which is great. And that's how me and Leo's friendship has started and keeps on evolving. My friendship with Leo, Leo and I's relationship or a friendship is something,
He's a
and I
great,
love Leo.
he's such a great guy, isn't he?
Leo's a great person, yeah, and of course, I love everyone in Arcos Management, and we all grow in everyone grows in different ways, and now Arcos is also grow. Arcos Management in itself is growing with
Wow.
number of actors that they give. Chili, who's one of our writer, Clotilde, is now also an Arcos Management actor.
Congratulations, Clotilde, and congratulations to Kat for growing so much. Isn't that incredible, Paul? Do you want to say something or ask a question?
Yeah, no. It's just bringing back all these memories of Clubhouse and meeting Leo and Kat and everyone else. But it is great because we need representation, and so I know somebody like Kat with Arcos Management. It's not just New York. I mean, I think she's also in LA. She's maybe even in Chicago. So it's great to see how they're growing. I did have a question. I studied Taekwondo as well when I was growing up. So I appreciate that. But I know that the Philippines has a great history also of your own martial arts. Have you studied any of that? Whether it's and please correct me if I'm wrong here, but like is it the fighting sticks? Maybe and Filipino maybe knife fighting I know is very prominent. Have you studied any of those martial arts or just Taekwondo?
You know, whenever get asked about that question, because in the Philippines, in physical education classes, our niece is always been taught, and I never had physical education classes just because I'm a varsity team member. So I'm exempted to take that class. So I have free time, right? I would just like play volleyball, play basketball, do just like lounge around waiting for my classmates to finish class and then go to our next class, right? But I watch them. Sometimes I would sit in the class and learn. So that's how it is being taught in the Philippines. And it's funny because that's the actual fighting style that I do at the New York Renaissance Fair. Because okay, here's the thing. Because here in the this year, the difference between four swords is like, okay, I get to share this with you guys because you guys are not here in New York. But if you can come, we have 3 more weekends left at the New York Renaissance Fair. I also do history talks back there. So what we do, the reason why is Arnita and Eskrima are two interchangeable terms for the fighting, for the art, right? And it derived from an art form, a dance by the royal families of Maguindanao called Kulintao. So a lot of dance movements, and of course it sticks, right? The knife work is another type of weaponry that is used by Filipino martial arts. It's the balisong, the butterfly knife. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, that's definitely one of them. The Bali song knife. Yeah, people know it as butterfly knives. Yeah, but there's this rich history there. So
It is. It is has a lot of rich history. But if we wanna focus on our niece first.
sure,
All
yeah.
right, because I also do stage combat, right? And the Renaissance Fair is a very white centric show. So a lot of like rapier, dagger, and broadswords, sabers, right? Back then, historically, the Filipino martial arts is actually used for a day. It did not evolve the way it is. So all these sticks and all these machetes and the knife work are only used on a day-to-day basis. So the
Hmm.
arnis sticks that we all know now is used for shepherding, cattle, pigs, and all of that. Very agricultural stuff. And the machete is basically for us to cut weeds, cut trees, cut vines, and all that. But until the Spaniards came, we'll have sabers, we'll have sense of style of a rapier and dagger. we have to be creative,
Mhm.
right? And I know that Taino people, and I know this because I have a fellow in my own guild at the New York Renaissance who was saying, so in the guild of St. Bartholomew, who is now for the forcers, we have a British guy, we have a German guy, we have Yasuke, the Ethiopian samurai, we have me, and we have Zemi, a Taino expert martial artist as well. So, and that for me and him, because we have a number of similarities and interactions with Spain, and a lot of their styles is with sabers and our knee and rapier daggers. Apologies if I'm getting nerdy. If like, please stop me and ask questions, and I'll simplify it. A lot of these stick work that we use for shepherding are not being used to work against them. And because a lot of their movements and fighting styles, like for rapier, like the Three Musketeers, a lot of them was like always on this, and they only have to do it in one way, right?
Right.
It's not a lot of slash. Sabers are slashy, but for rapiers with the long needle like swords, a lot of them are very thrusty. Like it's only at the end, right? So in order for the Filipinos to actually have to stand chance with them, they have to get offline and work around a lot of those circular movements and do multiple hits just for them to take advantage because it's a stick and a blunging weapon, you cannot make it any more safer, right? Unlike a sharp blade or a rapier or a broadsword or a knife, that where you can make it safe by just like not sharpening uh, either of those sides, right? And the historical value on that one is because our niece is known to defeat a lot, to beat rapier and dagger because it's blunging. You just have to whack that sword down and it's gonna break. And because of that, follow ups you can just like injure the person directly. And that's why also allegedly, because of such historical fact, it's been wiped out
Mm.
by colonization, and they've adapted a number of and they also adapted a number of our movements. They claim that they originated these styles and these movements and destressas because but again, the only reason that happens, like history, the victors tell history or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And because you were colonized for 333 years and you were passed to America after that, a lot of our historical references has been wiped out because of it. So
Uh,
yeah, that's my thing.
that was
Oh,
so
great.
wonderful. Wasn't that great, Paul? I loved that. And I learned so much. And I know our viewers will as well. And I've had such a wonderful time here. Oh my gosh, we have to start wrapping it up. I'm so sorry, but we're going to do heart messages. We're going to go around and say heart messages. That's our new thing here at Film Talk with AJ and Paul. So let's start with you, Paul, for your heart message for this week.
I love the fact that, this industry that we're in, it takes all kinds to make it work. And it's great to have somebody like Francis here that reiterates that it's not just the acting, it's not just the actors on screen. Sometimes I think we can be a little selfish and it's about us, but without the people behind the scenes, without stunt people, without different voices, it's not as rich as it can be. So thank you for all those that help us in the industry and make all these projects wonderful. And for the small filmmakers, somebody like Leo doing American Sangre, that's amazing. So thank you to all that are out there doing it. And I love being in this industry. So welcome to the industry, everyone.
I love it too, Paul. That was so beautifully said. Thank you,
Thanks.
Paul. And thank you for being here. We appreciate you so much, Paul. You are amazing. And Francis, let's go over to you, to your heart message this week to the world.
For me, again, there will always be a space for you. Um, it there will be point most of the time you will not see the results, but it will come around. Like for me, my work at the Renaissance Fair doing the same character for 3 years, I have encountered a comment like, why do you keep on telling his origins? Why you keep telling his sexuality? Because if I do, and my argument is that if I do not speak of what I am and what is this character represent, I am also not being um standing on my ground on what I try to represent as well, because he is Adil, the character I play, is the what represents that I also want to try, and the most proudest character that I've ever played. And it's comical, like 3 years later, over the past weekend, it's the most number of Filipinos that I have seen at the Renaissance Fair. And some of them have been coming around and they have not heard and seen of a Filipino playing as a performer at a very white centric show. But a lot of my castmates saw how I also interact with them using Filipinos, and they would always say, I have not heard those languages in years because I have not gone home yet. Believe me believe me when I tell you that no matter what you do, your work is being seen and you are going to be appreciated even if you are marginalized. And it sucks because we carry the burden, but hang on because you will continuously be seen and be appreciated in the work that you do.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Bravo. Brilliant. I loved what you said, Francis. Absolutely beautiful. 100%. Don't you agree, Paul?
I agree 100%. Yeah, that is wonderful.
So said so well, so very well. And Francis, I want to thank you so much for being our wonderful guest tonight. And my heart message is, first of all, I want to say thank you to Georgette Dante. The outfit that I am wearing, she gave to me as a birthday gift. This is her hat that she had. It's from a famous lion tamer in the past that gave it to her from Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey Circus. She gave the hat to Georgette. Georgette added the feathers and a few of her mother's teardrop costume rhinestones. So thank you so much to Georgette for this outfit and the dress she bought me. Thank you so much. And so Georgette is a legend, and my heart message is this: let's take care of our legends, the people who have come before us, who have stories to tell. And Georgette has a story to tell, and they're each and every one of them are important and valuable. So Georgette, we love you and we send our love to you. Thank you for being a legend, and your story matters and is important. And oops, I keep magically disappearing, but I'm going to come back and say thank you so much to everybody. And thank you, Francis, and thank you, Paul. And until we meet again, have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Francis.